Welcome to the market recap presented by Tackle Trading. Get in the game.
Good afternoon, Tackle Traders. Hello, YouTube. This is Frank coming to you with the market recap for August 28th. Another bullish but fairly flat day in the overall market. But some interesting things happening for sure, especially over in the real estate sector, as we'll see. Before we jump into today's action, we have Hewlett Packard and H&R Block reporting after the bell here today. Their earnings, and Brown-Forman tomorrow before the open. So just three S&P 500 companies for tomorrow's open on the earnings front. So if you're trading them, make sure you take that into consideration. Taking a look at our overall indexes, not nearly as an exciting of a day as yesterday. We kind of gapped up on the open today, really kind of flat, sold off a little bit, but nothing dramatic or anything like that. Of course, S&P was able to hit a new all-time high, so can't say it wasn't all that interesting in a day when we were able to do that. Our breakout, of course, remains very much intact over in the S&P 500. Same deal with our NASDAQ, following through. Yeah, I would love to have seen a little more follow through today, of course, because hey, it's a bullish breakout. I'm going to be a bull. But certainly nothing wrong or anything like that from a technical point of view over in the NASDAQ. So certainly both of our, indexes who broke out in the last couple of days looking pretty strong. Dow Jones, very, very similar. It hasn't broke that all-time high like our other indexes have, but kind of gap on the open, simmer down, really not a lot of momentum behind really any of these indexes here today. Russell really back and forth. They, of course, broke out first. They kind of got this breakout party started, really kind of back and forth the last couple of trading days. Continue to monitor it, but again, it's still sound. Our breakout's very much intact all across our broad indexes, so nothing really new to report over from that point of view. Taking a look at our different sectors, today's big winner was real estate, which we'll see shortly. Looking at materials, yesterday we broke out not only the downward sloping channel, but the resistance the previous swing resistance. Had some upward movement early, but really sold off to kind of close back on that old resistance point today. I think you're watching this, personally, that ended up being a support. I would not be surprised if it pulls back and tests that downward trend line as support. I wouldn't be surprised. So I think depending on how bearish you are or how bullish you are, will probably go a long way to that. But right now, I want to see what it does at this breakout point. I've been watching for this long. I can watch a little bit longer. So that's where I find myself. But do watch that previous resistance as well as that old trend line to act as potential support levels. Whether you are potentially a buyer or potentially a seller, both of those areas can be support, at least in the short term. Energy really started to kind of give some back today. Of course, we saw yesterday that we kind of ran up into that 50-day moving average, kind of hit the wall there. Today, we really struggled. Certainly could understand the bearish side of things as a potential bearish retracement. Like I said, yesterday, and until I don't feel this way, I'm going to feel this way. I'm going to let somebody else take the first trade on this until I get a better feel for it. I'm kind of still in that range. Definitely cause for selling right now, but at the same time, we've got a lot of overall momentum, and so we did hold support. I think this is a watch for me at least, but definitely watch for some downward movement off of that 50. That certainly has caused us trouble now. 2 days, really 3 trading days in a row. So no terribly huge surprise if it continues to do so. Over in the financial sector, we continue to hold our breakout. Much like the overall market, was able to kind of hop early, kind of sold off throughout the day, but really hasn't done anything from a technical point of view. We find ourselves really in the same place as we were yesterday. We're holding the breakout over in the financial sector, just a little bit of profit taking off of those intraday highs today over in that sector. Same story with our industrials. They basically continued to hold their breakout, built that early momentum, gave a lot of it back in the short term, but our technical pattern, our breakout, still continues to hold. So, not nearly as an exciting day today as it was yesterday. Today's very status quo-y, right? So technology continues to be strong, really kind of, much like everything else, though, really kind of just hung out today. We're hitting highs. We're still very, very bullish overall, but we did see some indecision over in the technology sector today. Our staples pullback continues to develop and not be ready. Continues to really kind of hang around with these intraday lows over really the last 4 trading days, but is yet to really get any momentum going on just yet. I'll continue to be monitoring that. Overall, this trend still is very much intact. Nothing that's technically wrong. It just didn't pull back and fly up the charts like it did last time, which certainly is a nice thing if that happens. But do continue to watch. We're kind of building a little bit of a short-term, 4-day kind of intraday consolidation range with, the tops and the bottoms. So monitor that as we go into tomorrow. I certainly don't think that we have any trigger either way right now, but hey, tomorrow could be the day. And tomorrow we might still be in this range, right? We always will prepare. Our friends over in the healthcare sector continue to do exactly what our friends over in the healthcare sector do, and that's just continue to push up. Don't care about anything, just continue their strong momentum. So not a huge candle, very flat overall like the whole market today, but we did push up over in our healthcare sector, as is pretty normal these days. Discretionary continues its nice breakout, following that break last week, continuing to push up. So things looking good there. And our big winner of the day was our real estate sector. This really, of course, we had that pullback, to end last week. We had that bullish engulfing candle on Friday. Yesterday kind of threw a little bit of, is this ready or not? But for those folks who had moved into it, certainly were rewarded very, very justly here today in the real estate sector. Do kind of keep an eye on that resistance level. Let's just take a quick look over at this weekly chart. Of course, that resistance level that it hit on its recent swing, and we're pretty darn close today, kind of lined up with the previous resistance level a little bit further back in the past. So monitor that price point would be my thoughts. Certainly the only thing we know for sure is it's caused problems in the past. Let's just make sure that, if it shows weakness or anything like that, we can make an educated decision. Is it worth it to stay, or should we take our profits and run? But definitely a very strong move in the real estate sector here today. That is for sure. So shifting gears over into our dollar and commodities, continue to show a weakness in the dollar. We did kind of rally off of the lows here today, as we kind of discussed yesterday, after pulling back to the breakout point, getting that upward momentum. Powell speaks on Friday really kind of threw some cold water on the strength of the dollar, at least for the time being. Yesterday, we broke that support, broke that 50-day moving average. We're back into this trading range. Right now, for me at least, this is a wait and see. I'm not willing to go bearish on it, but I am seeing bearish signals. I'm worried that maybe I'm stuck back in this trading range. From a bullish point of view, at the very least, at least currently, I'd like to see it get back above that range before I get too excited as a potential bull. Again, that's just me, but definitely can't love the failure of the breakout. Can't love making consecutive lower highs and lower lows. Don't love the fact that it's back in that old trading range. So that's where we find ourselves over in the dollar. As we look at gold, gold's a funny one. Everybody's got an opinion on gold. A couple of fun things to show you here on gold here today. First off, I'm going to look at the weekly chart just to kind of put a little bit of perspective into this thing. So we had that nice, really strong rally back up to kind of that old floor area that fought with a few weeks ago. Now we can kind of take a little bit of a longer look at it. Really doesn't look all that bullish when I look at it on a weekly chart. Looks like a good candle last week, certainly no doubt about that, but really not looking all that great from a bullish point of view. That is for sure. It really kind of started some upward movement, but I'm going to take a quick look at this hourly chart, which personally I think is a great chart on the following commodities. It's a chart that I like to use. You can kind of see here on the hourly chart where it basically, after a strong run, kind of started to see some slowing momentum. pulled back into that 50-period moving average and closed below it, and really started to sell from that point. So it looks like the more aggressive type of traders who are looking to go short into gold on this as a potential retracement candidate, looks like they started to move in. Now, maybe that's you, maybe it's not, but certainly we're seeing some downward movement here today. We've seen some breaks on the intraday. Certainly a very bearish candle that we see here right now. It's going to have to fight a little bit harder. Again, we're really fighting in that same area, and that's just a big deal. That area was such a big deal for so long. Of course, it's an interesting battle, right? So whatever side of the fence we find ourselves on, we knew to expect this to be a battle, right? Whether you were jumping in as a potential buyer or looking at it as a potential bearish retracement, we knew that this was an area that very likely could cause us, some issues. And here we are today with those issues. But if you are bear, certainly that is a good signal if you were looking for that bearish retracement. If you are a bull, well, you probably should have either, prepared for this to be an area to struggle, or be waiting for it to break before you decide to move in more. So if I were a bull and I wasn't, I would have been taking profits there, that's for sure. So that's where we find ourselves in gold. Fairly similar situation in silver. It's a little more sidewaysy right now than gold, but really the same general sentiment going on with the metals market. You can kind of see today it really ran up and kissed that little mini floor that it made after the initial sell-off. We're basically downward trending sideways right now over in silver. So still not a lot of strength going on over there. So in the metals. Taking a look at our natural gas, we continue to sell off. We talked about it yesterday, breaking that support level, really lost a lot of momentum over the last little bit. We've also talked natural gas can move. It can definitely move. If you are looking at it as a potential pullback, we haven't seen any turnaround candles or confirmation that this is the bottom or anything like that. If you're bearish, I would argue that our next real level of support is going to be this old high that we're getting closer and closer to. We still have a little room before we get there, but I would say that that would probably be the next level of support that I would be looking at. That's the next price that I'm watching for personally. So we can kind of see how that plays out, but definitely continue to sell. And one thing I like about commodities and natural gas in particular is it can get going. And if you're in it as it's going, we saw, that, really strong bullish run. We've now seen a really strong bearish run. It's, it can move, and that's not for everybody, right? But definitely some interesting things can happen over in natural gas. That's for sure. In our crude, much like our energy ETF, really struggling at that 50-day moving average. That's really about the only technical thing between here and about 70, or just shy of 70, I should say. But it's obviously causing us some trouble. That continues to be the case as we fight for now 3 days to try to get through that. It is very flat, kind of in the sideways, but clearly traders, they're getting there and they're saying not anymore, not right now. I think just like, any other situation that looks like this, I'm going to wait, let it play out, and an opportunity that I do like will present itself, whether that's in a few days or a few weeks. Only time will tell. But bullish, there's definitely some bullish movement, but clearly we do have some overall bearish sentiment. We certainly are having some short-term intraday resistance holding out for us, that's for sure. So much like I've said these last several trading days, I don't really see a great opportunity on either side of the fence right now in the crude market. But again, that's just me. You might be seeing a great opportunity that you want to take advantage of. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for today's market recap. Overall, we're still pretty much in about the same place that we were. Not a whole lot changed here today from a technical point of view. We did lose some momentum after our little, couple days of breakout party, but that's probably to be expected. But really overall, our technicals still remain very much intact. So as long as that's the case, we can continue to proceed with the same general game plan. As always, guys, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate everybody's time. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be alerted anytime we do new videos or live streams over here at Tackle Trading. If you enjoyed the market recap, it is always helpful and appreciated if you give it a thumbs up. Thank you in advance for that. Get out of here. happy trading, and I will see you in the next one.